3.5 does draw near, and so today I'm here with a full build guide for the new character in the first half, Hysilens. This video covers an overview on her kit, Lightcone options, relic sets and ornaments, and stat recommendations. I'll have a full build guide for every single new and returning character in 3.5 throughout this week, so if you're interested in Kafka, Ceridra, and or Silverwolf, stay tuned. Starting it off with the overview of Hysilens' kit. Her basic attack will deal damage equal to 100% of her attack to one designated enemy. Her skill has a 100% base chance to increase damage taken by all enemies hit for 3 turns, and at the same time will deal damage equal to 140% of her attack to all enemies. Her ultimate allows Hysilens to deploy a zone that will have enemies in the zone have reduced attack, and also reduce their defense by 25%, and will deal damage to all enemies that are on the field. Every instance of dot taken by an enemy target within the zone that Hysilens does deploy, she deals physical dot equal to 80% of her attack on them. The damage will trigger at the start of each turn or after one attack by an allied target that goes up to 8 times and cannot repeatedly trigger. Zone lasts for 3 turns and decreases by 1 at the start of her every turn. Hysilens' talent allows her to have a 100% base chance to inflict an additional dot stay on enemies when an allied target attacks. So when someone on your team does attack, Hysilens is able to inflict wind shear, bleed, burn, or shock, and the priority will be inflicting one that is not already on the enemy. While enemies are in that state, they will take dot respective to the type equal to 25% of her attack for 2 turns. And if they are in bleed, at the start of each turn, the enemy takes physical dot equal to 20% of their max HP up to 25% of Hysilens' attack for 2 turns. Her technique creates a special dimension for 20 seconds that moves forward. Enemies within it will be inflicted with Soulstruck, and anyone with Soulstruck will not be able to attack allied targets. When you enter battle against enemies with the Soulstruck state, you have a 100% base chance to inflict enemy with 2 different types of dots. That is also equivalent to her talent's effect. Hysilens A2 deploys a zone equivalent to the ultimate lasting for 3 turns, and when she does deploy a zone, she recovers 1 skill point. Hysilens A4 allows her to get a dot proc through her ultimate that will allow her to produce damage equal to 150% of the original damage to all dots on the enemy. And Hysilens A6 will increase her damage up by 15% for every 10% of Hysilens' effect hit rate that exceeds 60%, up to a maximum of 90%. Hysilens E1 will allow her to increase the dot dealt by any ally to 116% of the original damage if she is on the field. When Hysilens inflicts a dot state through her talent, there's a 100% base chance to additionally inflict the target with 1 other instance of the one that is identical to the talent and can coexist. So with this E1, what that does mean is if you, let's say, inflict wind shear with their talent, with the E1 you can also inflict something like burn at the same time. Her E2 will give the damage boost effect from the Trace the Fiddle of Pearls to all your allies when her zone is active. Her E4 reduces the all-type res of enemies by 20% when her zone is active, and her E6 will increase the maximum trigger count of Hysilens' physical dot effect to 12, and will also increase the multiplier of the damage dealt by 20%. When looking at what Lightcone to use on Hysilens, her best one is of course going to be her own signature Lightcone, which does provide the wearer a 40% increase to effect hit rate. When an enemy target gets inflicted with a debuff by the wearer, there is an 80% base chance for them to enter the enthrallment state for 3 turns. Effects of the same type cannot stack, and while the target is in enthrallment, for every 1 debuff applied by the wearer on the target, increases the target's received dot by 5% that stacks up to 6 times. When the target gets attacked by an ally, increases the attacker's speed by 10% for 3 turns, and when the wearer does get knocked down, removes all enthrallment. The base increase to effect hit rate is very important as you are going to need to build a lot of effect hit rate on your Hysilens, so the extra 40% it provides makes it a lot easier to build her. On top of that, she is going to make the target that she does have in the enthrallment state with more stacks receive more dot, which is going to be all the sources of damage on her team. So any dot inflicted by other characters on the team, the dots inflicted by Hysilens herself, they will be doing more damage, stacking up to 6 times, meaning you can get up to a 30% increase to receive dot damage. And to top it all off, you are able to increase not only Hysilens speed, but also your ally's speed if they are attacking someone with enthrallment. 10% speed for 3 turns, which is absolutely fantastic for dot characters as they want to act a lot of times. So very frequently, you want to build as much speed as possible. So the fact that Lightcone already makes them take more dot damage, makes Hysilens easier to build, and also increases the speed for your team, is why it is far and none her best option. Black Swan's Lightcone is also very strong on Hysilens, providing the same 40% increase to effect hit rate when the wearer deals damage to an enemy inflicted with any dot state. Each respectively grants 1 stack of profit that stacks up to 4 times. In a single battle, only 1 stack of profit can be granted for each type of dot. Every stack of profit will increase the wearer's attack by 5% and enables dot dealt to ignore 7.2% of the target's defense. Just like I mentioned with their signature, the 40% effect hit rate does make her easier to build. Profit is extremely easy to stack with Hysilens as she does inflict every single type of dot thanks to her talent, so it's very easy to keep uptime and just have the stack fully. And at the same time very quickly. Dot characters do love attack percent, so this Lightcone actually providing attack percent is very good, and is also going to be very beneficial for a planner ornament that I will get onto when we do get to that section. So the extra attack percent this does provide is very good, as it stacks up to 4 times, you can get up to a ×4 multiplier for the 5% attack. So up to a 20% attack, and also each stack gives 7.2% ignore defense for the dot, which does mean a 28.8% ignore on the defense for dot damage dealt to them. This Lightcone does work absolutely fantastic with her and will amplify her damage by a lot, which is why it's another great option to use. Xiaochu's Lightcone is also very strong. It provides a greater increase to effect her by 60%, so it makes her even easier to build. After the wearer uses a basic attack skill or ultimate to attack an enemy target, there is a 60% base chance to inflict unarmored on the target. While in the unarmored state, the enemy will receive 10% increased damage for 2 turns. If the target is under a dot state inflicted by the wearer, there is a 60% base chance to upgrade the unarmored state inflicted by the wearer to the cornered state, which additionally increases the damage the target enemy receives by 14% that will last for 2 turns, and during this period, the wearer cannot inflict unarmored on the target. As I did mention, 60% effect hit rate is going to make her even easier to build, as it's a 20% increase over the other 2 options that I did mention. Hysilens skill and ultimate are both fully AoE as well, so you are able to easily inflict everyone with unarmored, making them take 10% more damage, which is going to benefit the damage that she deals against them. It's going to increase the damage that anyone else is doing to the enemies, so that's why it's great. And as Hysilens is a dot character, you are very easily able to upgrade the state into the cornered state, so additionally a 14% increase to the damage that the target does receive, allowing them to take 24% increased damage, which is going to benefit her damage and once again her teammates, which is why Xiaochu's Lightcone is another very good option. Eyes of the Prey is also another good option to use with a 20% increase to effect hit rate and a 24% increase to dot damage. And at S5, it is a 40% increase to effect hit rate with a 48% increase to dot damage. 40% increase, the same as Black Swan and her signature, so that's still a nice increase you are getting at S5, and also a 48% increase to dot. The only damage you're going to be dealing on the actual dot team is through dots themselves. The actual hits do really low damage, so you are mainly just focusing on dot purely, so the extra 48% to dot you are getting is good. Not gonna help her other sources of damage, but again, it's very little damage, so you just want to focus on the actual dot itself, which is why it's another great option to use. And the last option is Good Night and Sleep Well, which increases the damage dealt that the wearer can do for every debuff the target enemy has. A 12% increase to sex split 3 times and also applies to dot, and at S5 it is a 24% increase to damage dealt. On a dot team, you are throwing debuffs on enemies constantly. They'll always have over 3, you'll always have this stacked up, so you are getting up to a 72% increase to the dot damage that Hysilens does deal. So it is just a massive increase to the damage dealt that her dots do deal. Not much to say there, it's just a really good option for that reason. Moving on to the relic side of things, unfortunately there really is only one relic set you do want to use when it does come to a 4-piece, as it is just significantly better than every other option, and that is 4-piece prisoner set. 2-piece increases attack by 12%, and the 4-piece, for every dot the enemy target is afflicted with, the wearer will ignore 6% of its defense when dealing damage to it, and is valid for a maximum of 3 dots. So 12% attack, that increases all sources of damage from her attacks and dot procs. She is able to inflict more than 3 dots on her own, so you're getting the up to 18% dot ignore. So just a big increase to the damage you will be doing overall, and again, it's very easy to stack this up as she does inflict every single type of dot, which makes this relic set the best for her own personal damage. The only other relic set 4-piece I'm going to mention is the 4-piece of the physical set, just because it does work, but it's significantly worse than running the prisoner set. Prisoner set is just a lot better. 2-piece increases physical damage by 10%, and the 4-piece gives you up to a 25% increase to attack for every time the wearer does attack or is hit. So 5% for every time you are attacked or hit. stacking up to 5 times. Physical damage is still really good on her, so the 2-piece is beneficial, and the 4-piece just gives you up to a 25% increase to attack, so increasing the sources of damage she does deal. As I mentioned, this is significantly worse than running 4-piece prisoner. You're much better off just farming that, but if you don't have any prisoner pieces or they're in use and you're farming more, you could use this in time if you do have it. And if you're really down bad, then you can just use 2-piece. It would be 2-piece in one of the attack percent increasing sets, so prisoner when soaring, hero, or musketeer, and doing 2-piece of that with 2-piece physical set, or 2-piece of one of those with one of the 2-piece speed sets. So Hackerspace, Relieved Ordeal, or Warrior Goddess. But again, really just try to get a 4-piece prisoner set, even if it's not as good, just because it is significantly the best set. For Planet Ornaments, the best in slot is going to be the Revelry set. Increases the wearer's attack by 12%, and when the wearer's attack is higher than or equal to 2400/3600, increases dot damage dealt by 12%/24% respectively. Once again, the attack percent is going to benefit all her sources of damage, and you can get a massive increase to dot damage dealt by 24% by building her up to 3600 attack, which you do effectively want to aim for on her. Your best bet is going to be aiming for that, but if you aren't able to hit it or you're still working to it and you're only getting the 12%, you will be missing a good portion of damage, but it is still her best in slot even with the 12%. So if you can't get a full 3600 attack for getting the full 24% effect, it is fine. You'll still be fine with the 12% one. Just try to get to 3600 as soon as possible. Another option you can use is Glamoth, which increases the wearer's attack by 12% when the wearer's speed is equal to or higher than 135/160. The wearer deals 12%/18% more damage. 12% attack, again, increases all her sources of damage. Usually you will be having the 12% increase to damage because most people won't be able to build up to 160 plus speed. Even though she is relatively quick, it still might be a bit difficult for a lot of people. But if you are able to hit 160, this set does become a lot better. Revelry is still a better set overall, even with 160 speed, but it is still a great substitute to use if you just have really good pieces and or you are farming Revelry already. The main stats on the relics are as followed. For the body, you are mainly going to do effect hit rate. You can run attack percent, but that's only if you are able to reach about 120% effect hit rate to fully max out her trace. If you are able to get 120% effect hit rate through rolls and other means, then you can swap out effect hit rate body for attack percent. For the feet, primarily, you're going to be doing attack percent because Hysilens has a big speed stat when you do have her traces unlocked. 102 base speed plus 14 from her traces, so you can very much actually hit breakpoint with just speed rolls. But attack percent is still better even if you don't hit it because Hysilens isn't really going to be acting too much. It's still going to be other people applying the talent for her because they can do that. So the whole thing isn't getting Hysilens to act as much as possible often. There's still setups you can do with that, but most part you're going to have allies proc her talent for her. And if your Hysilens isn't super fast, you're going to be able to expire her actual zone slower, which is also going to be good. But you can run speed boots if you want to get her to a breakpoint plus build, where you want her to attack more, which can also funnel you more energy to get more ult procs and also proc dot through her ultimate even more. So attack percent will be the best for her personal damage, but speed setups, they still do work. For the orb, physical is going to be best, but you can run attack percent. If you're really much below the 3600 requirement by running Revelry, then running attack percent does still work, but overall physical will be the goal. And for the link rope, you want attack percent. For the subsets, if you are running speed, get that threshold first. Speed boots plus her actual base speed will be enough to actually hit breakpoint anyways. But if you're running attack percent boots, then ignore that step entirely. Unless you are going for subsets, then you also want to focus on that. Then it would be focusing on effect hit rate, get it up to 120% to fully max it, and also get more attack percent rolls. So once again, if you are running a speed setup, focus on getting your speed breakpoints. If you're doing specific setups, focus on getting that first. If you're running attack percent boots and you still want to get breakpoint speed through subsets, then you still focus on speed. But if you are running attack percent boots and you are not doing a speed setup, then you can ignore speed for the most part and just focus on effect hit rate. Again, for everyone, get it to 120%. And past that, more attack percent rolls. And that does wrap up the full build guide for Hysilens. I do hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel or you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon for future videos like this along with all other types of style content. And I'll see you later. Peace out.